talking off to the side like I have important things to say, and Daniel here to bring you the latest fantasy news. In a quick channel update, Daniel Green, being the doofus he is, has accidentally been uploading nearly all of his videos in 720p on accident when he could have been doing 1080 this entire time. Good job, Daniel. From now on, you will be able to see my face in all its glory in 1080p. Yay! But getting into the actual fantasy news. The first images have been released for fan favorite character of the Witcher series, Roach. And for those of you who are not Witcher fans, no, it is not the man riding the horse. It's the character underneath it. It's the horse. It's the horse. Roach is wonderful. One of the best horses in all of fantasy dumb. And this horse appears to fit the bill quite well. Fans are pleased, and so am I myself. Looks like quite the noble stallion. And in more quickie fantasy news, it seems that Harry Styles is in consideration to play Prince Eric in the upcoming Little Mermaid live-action movie. Maddie, is that good? That's a no. That's a no from Maddie. There's already been a lot of controversial casting around the Little Mermaid adaptation coming down the road. Some people loving it, some people hating it. And what I have to say is actually my least favorite so far announced might actually be Harry Styles, just because I don't know anything about him as an actor, and I don't know, just doesn't get me pumped. And for the King Killer Chronicle fans out there, interior designs for the upcoming collector's edition of the book have been released. They look spectacular. They are here now on screen. Look at them, they're so pretty. Oh my gosh, moving on. Next news. The Kingsmen trailer finally dropped. This is a prequel to the Kingsmen, so this is Kingsman as opposed to Kingsmen. It's the prequel set in World War I. And while I was initially a little bit hesitant to get excited for this, after looking at the trailer, this looks good. Roll a clip.
Throughout time, our people robbed, lied, and killed. Until one day, we found ourselves noblemen.
As you can see, it's going for a heavy war action tone, kind of more of the epic side of things than I was expecting, and I'm interested. I'm not saying it's going to be great, but I'm at least intrigued. Now, transitioning into the news stories, I have quite a bit to say about. Quentin Tarantino is once again putting out comments on the possibility of him directing an upcoming Star Trek film. Something I find strange, a new direction for a franchise that is admittedly getting a bit stale. I don't know what I personally think about a Tarantino directed Star Trek. Maybe he's a closet huge fan and has been this whole time and will write a miraculously true to the source material Star Trek. I highly doubt that with his hyper-stylized movies in the past. It doesn't seem like he could conform to any previous established world, in my opinion. I just don't see that really happening with him. That being said, he then did talk about how, well, he's always said he will only make 10 films as a director, and with the upcoming Hollywood-esque movie being released, being his 9th, would the Star Trek be his 10th and Tarantino end his directing career on a Star Trek film? This is just weird. It's the most WTF story that keeps popping its head up on fantasy news, and I just don't know how to handle it. I've changed how I feel about it a little bit. I guess I'm a little more just curious than anything else. And with the recent, my personal not liking where Star Trek has gone recently, I guess I'm open to anything at this point. But in other director news, Taika Waititi is for sure back to direct Thor 4. As someone who has Thor Ragnarok being his personal favorite of the Thor movies and one of my favorite Marvel movies, I'm very excited about this. Taika Waititi's humor translates incredibly well to the Marvel formula, and I am looking forward to seeing more of it be brought to the large screen with these large characters. There is some speculation that this is why his upcoming Akira adaptation has been delayed, but that is neither confirmed nor denied. Marvel's power is strong, but I don't know whether or not they're actually capable enough to delay an entire other project. Transitioning into some other superhero news, early test screenings of Birds of Prey have apparently drawn mixed reactions, with test audiences really enjoying it, while the executives over at the studios not. Oh boy, Where have we seen this before? With the legacy of the DCEU largely being one of studio involvement wrecking films and directors' visions, this just reeks of a lesson not learned. But with a lot of what's been this article I'm pulling from being rumor, although I will say a likely rumor, who knows what the final product will actually end up looking like, though I will say I'm not optimistic. I like a lot of the performances that are probably going to be brought to this movie, but I just don't think that they can resist. They've shown time and time again in the DCEU that what the execs in these studios want ends up winning out. And with their odd budget corner cuts that do drastically affect the end product, I'm just not thrilled to see what this will be, though I would have loved to have been in one of those test screenings to see what might have been. And in your final bit of DCEU news and superhero news for the day, Zachary Levi has confirmed that the Black Adam Shazam crossover is still many movies off, which confirms a few things about the DCEU. That one, this movie is for sure happening, which we already knew, but there are many more films still promised to be coming. Who knows how many will be canceled, or if this universe will die off altogether with these strange half reboots rumored and already happening. But with Shazam being one of the few gems to come out from the DC universe, and Black Adam being a possible shining gold star with The Rock leading it, I would be thrilled to see this one be maybe their final note or a full rebirth for the DC universe. And now we're transitioning into the most and almost entirely based off rumor story of the day, though with the amount of talk about this rumor, I will go ahead and say that some version of it, or just the rumor itself, are highly likely, and that is with the Matrix reboot being echoing around Hollywood, and the Wachowski sisters not denying that they are indeed in shop for a new Matrix movie. This one seems like it might be possible, and that is that Michael B. Jordan might helm whatever project comes next for the franchise. Known for his Creed and Fantastic fame, Michael B. Jordan is actually a rising star, someone who is blowing up in a very big way. I personally loved his work in Fruitvale Station and Creed, and completely see him being charismatic enough to lead a Matrix-level film and enter into this more kind of fantastical project. Ignoring Van Forstic, which I think we should all do. And with him publicly being interested in being involved in the adaptation of Black Leopard, Red Wolf, I think this is going to be maybe a trend for his career, jumping into these larger, big budget, fantastical productions where a lot of actors get big, fat paychecks. And now let's end with what will probably cause my comment section to deteriorate into people screaming at each other news. Game of Thrones has been nominated for a record number of Emmys for its last season, and I'm already hearing the people typing about their love and or hatred for the last season and how people who have the other opinions are wrong. I will go ahead and just put this out there. Many of these nominations are for technical aspects of the show, and I don't think many people can argue that Game of Thrones was not a visual spectacle in terms of the effects brought during battles or just creature work, costume design. All of those things absolutely should be up for a nomination for an Emmy, but when it comes to storytelling and writing, and oh man, that's a whole other debate I'll let you guys have and handle. You go right ahead. But with the new record number being 32 nominations for the final season of Game of Thrones, shattering the previous record of 26, and with a grand total number of nominations for the lifetime of Game of Thrones being 161, this show's impact is certainly seen in the numbers. It's cultural shifting, it's huge, and I for one still don't hate it. It may have had a rocky ending, but it did change how television will forever be viewed and handled, and is why we are seeing the meteoric rise of the fantasy genre within the mainstream. And transitioning into the final story of the day, and also Game of Thrones / A Song of Ice and Fire news, George R. R. Martin is reportedly refusing to change the ending of his books after saying they will be almost entirely similar to the show. People who are dumb have been saying that he should change the ending of his books and there's no way it will work. People who are smart realize that D&D, the showrunners for Game of Thrones, shortened a lot and cut a lot of material that could have made the actual ending of the show really land and emotionally work with the viewer, giving us that oh so satisfying feeling of catharsis. And I believe George R. R. Martin is good enough as a writer to bring that with the ending that was given to us in the show, minus a couple of things that I do hope are changed, but even if he doesn't change anything, he certainly can still stick the landing. He has 2 whole books.
Give the guy a chance.
This has been your latest fantasy news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you have not already. I decided to cut down on the number of stories covered and just focus on talking more in depth about the stories I actually really cared about, aside from some quickie news at the beginning. Let me know if you like the new formula, and have a good one, y'all. Peace.